Jimmy, and we're pleased to be joined by House Speaker Paul Ryan, who's been a longtime fixture on Chicago radio. He used to be on Don Wade and Roma on WLS, my old station, all the time. And we appreciate his time. Speaker Ryan, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me. Yeah, you just mentioned Don. I miss Don. He was such a good guy.
He was. He was a great guy.
Really enjoyed going on his show. And,
yeah.
I love that ditty about Eli Manning. That guy's come and just ruined our business in Lambeau 2 or 3 times. And that was a pretty nice point you made about Eli.
Oh, thank you very much. See, Paul Ryan just complimented me.
Oh, my gosh.
Now see if he'll compliment you.
All right. And Dan, good to be with you.
Good to be with you. And so we were just talking to Steve Moore, and I feel like we're passing.
Well, I've got a lot of questions.
Yeah, I feel like we're passing like notes in the cloakroom.
He's a buddy. Steve and I are old buddies. He's actually a Chicago guy.
But he's worried.
He's a buddy of mine.
He's worried that if you have a conference tomorrow, that's going to, derail the tax plan through the Senate. If the senators have to go again to vote, so he wants you to just approve the Senate bill right now because it's superior to yours.
Well, I think there's a debate about that, but I think we can make both better with the conference agreement. That's the point I would make is there are things that the Senate did at the last minute to sort of conform with the rules that we would like to fix. They added some taxes back in that frankly, we would like to get rid of altogether. The alternative minimum tax is a pretty insidious tax, and they for their own rule reasons, put things like that back in there. So there are things that we'd like to do to make the bill even better. Steve's concern, I assume, I haven't talked to him in the last couple of weeks, is that their majority is so shaky and thin over there that don't risk it. But I believe from talking to senators constantly up till late in the evening last night that we can make this bill better, and that people who voted for it in the Senate would be happy to vote for an even better version of that bill in very short order. So our purpose, and by the way, that's how bills become a law. The House passes a bill, and then the Senate passes a different version of that bill, and then you go and reconcile the differences, and that's basically what we're doing.
One of the differences, the Senate has a repeal on the Obamacare individual mandate. The House does not. Can we get agreement on the repeal?
Yeah, what I don't do is go into speculation as to where we're going to go in the conference agreements, but let me just say it this way. In the House, we've voted for that over and over again. We passed a broader bill that did that in May. So we've been long on record for getting rid of that, and we think that's policy that we in the House have supported for a long time. And we just wanted to see if the Senate could do it, and they could, and they can, and so we're pleased with that. But what I don't do is get into here's how this is going to shake out in the conference committee, because I don't even think the Senate's named their conferees yet, so it would be wrong of me to get ahead of those guys.
All right, we'll pepper Peter Roskam for details on that.
Peter Roskam's one of the conferees, because Peter's the chairman of the subcommittee that wrote this.
Right.
So you can pepper Peter.
Okay, and so let me ask you this, though. You made a big point, including at the announcement of the passage of this plan, about the postcard and about simplification. Yeah. And it seems to me that Republicans are a bit beset arguing the winners and losers game with all the details, and that's sort of the Democrats' play rhetorically. And I think you were on the right path with the simplification, but it needed one more step, which is simplification reduces big government because the industry in D.C. is all built around the tax code, and simplifying it eliminates some of that kind of beltway industry. Is that fair?
Oh, gosh, yeah. That is the point I actually make. Maybe the news clips cut that off, but I made that yesterday in my press conference, which is when you clean out and simplify the tax system, get rid of a bunch of loopholes, then K Street and loophole industry in Washington shrinks, and they don't like that. But in exchange, people just get to keep more of their own money in the first place, and they get to decide what to do with it. That's the difference here. The current system says you navigate all these different loopholes, you hire an accountant, and they figure it out for you, send your money to Washington, and then Washington will let you keep some of your money back if you do what Washington, through the special interest loophole, tells you to do. We're basically saying get rid of the loopholes and just lower tax rates across the board and let people keep their money in the first place. Let them decide what they want to do with it because it's their money. That's the philosophical change that's occurring here. And both the House and the Senate bill has the postcard form. By doubling the standard deduction, which is what both the House and the Senate do, we go from 70% of the people in this country not itemizing their deductions to 90% of the people in this country will be able to fill out their taxes on a postcard. So that is radical simplification, which is what we're really after, among just giving people a tax cut and growing the economy. I even noticed the Trib came out in favor of this. So, I'm not trying to bash newspapers here, but what people are recognizing, and I see this with Chicagoland businesses, which you got to understand. I'm Kenosha, Racine, Lake Geneva, Janesville. I'm right above you guys. These businesses in our communities, these multinationals, they're leaving or they're building overseas instead of in Chicagoland, instead of in Wisconsin because of our tax code. We're reversing that trend. We're basically saying if you got money stuck overseas, you can't bring it back, we're going to remove that barrier, bring your money back, reinvest it. If the tax code tells you it's smarter to make things overseas, to relocate overseas, we're reversing that incentive and we're making it smarter and better to stay in America, stay headquartered here, make things here. That's what this tax reform does in addition to a big middle-class tax cut.
And we just have time for yes or no. This is going to be on the president's desk in some form or fashion by Christmas.
Yep.
All right.
Yup.
There it is. Okay. We got a yup. He is House Speaker Paul Ryan. Speaker Ryan, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate your time.
Appreciate it. Take care.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.